Everything began when I was young. My name is Huang, and I am an undercover police officer. I thought this job would last only 3 years, but now I've been living in the shadows for a decade. At first, I simply wanted to complete my mission, earn the badge and become an investigator, but now I am still trapped in the guise of a drug dealer. This is no longer my choice. It's a life I've become entangled in. Every time I tell myself I'll stop, but another year passes, and I find myself still caught in this whirlwind. There's a reason. Perhaps it's because I've developed a passion for this work. The challenges, the confrontations, and the internal struggles have made it impossible for me to quit. But behind all this, I still have a family and a promise to my wife. 3 years ago, I promised her that I would start a family, return home and care for my wife and children. But life, it seems, is never that simple. And now I must continue this job facing things I never imagined. People like Big A, are waiting for me, and once again, I am preparing to step into this storm. My life hasn't always been this way. Behind the mask of a drug dealer, I am a husband, a man with a family. 3 years ago, I married her, Lynn, the woman I love more than anything. She has always been my greatest source of encouragement, even though life has never been easy. She stood by me through the toughest days, but it was also her who made me question whether this job was worth the sacrifices I was making. I promised Lynn that after these 3 years I would never return to the underground world. I would come home, build our family, and become the husband and father she deserved. But just as I prepared for a new future, I was pulled back by the threads I had woven into this life. The job wouldn't let me go, and I couldn't abandon the commitments I had made. Every night I come home to find Lynn waiting for me. Those moments remind me that I can't let her suffer any longer, but then this work sweeps me away like a wave. I can't escape. The calls, the deals, the times I have to dive into danger, they keep pulling me back. I love her. I want to fulfill my promise. But how can I when life doesn't allow me to? Every day in this job is a challenge. I don't just face dangerous criminals, I also struggle with myself. We, the ones in the undercover unit, not only have to confront drug dealers, but also face a world full of betrayal, deceit, and people you can never be sure whether they are allies or enemies. Big A. My partner in this case is a perfect example. He is cunning always, hiding his true self, maintaining a cold exterior that's hard to crack. Though I know very well that I am working with a notorious criminal, it's his calculating nature and deep understanding of human psychology that have made me question myself time and time again. This job is not just about an investigation or an arrest. It's a war without boundaries, without safety. The drug deals aren't just about money. They are intense psychological battles. And sometimes the people you trust the most are the ones who will stab you in the back. What's more, I've begun to realize that even the police officers in my own team, the ones I thought I could trust, might be part of a larger web of corruption. This realization has left me feeling confused. I'm living in a world where no one is truly good, and if I'm not careful, I might become part of it too. Every day I go to work with a sense of unease. What surprises will today bring? Can I continue living with the resolve to keep my promise to my wife? And can I keep myself safe when facing those I once called comrades? The truth is, no one knows for sure. Everything changed the day Big A was finally caught. I had worked with him for a long time, and I thought we were almost at the finish line. I imagined this would be a beautiful end to the case, and once again, I would return home and be able to look into Lynn's eyes, telling her that I had completed the mission and kept my promise. But as with so many times before, life is never that simple. As soon as we apprehended Big A, everything began to unravel. What I thought was a great victory turned out to be just a small part of a much larger game filled with cunning and calculation. Big A wasn't the simple criminal I had imagined. He was merely a link in a complex web, a web that not only involved criminals outside society but also included people within the police force and the government. When I started to see signs of corruption within my own team, I realized that this case wasn't just about catching drug dealers. It was a much bigger battle, a fight against the decay within the very system I was working for. The people I trusted, the ones I had dedicated my life to working with, were now the ones I had to face. I can't turn back now. I can't quit when everything is coming to a head. On one hand, I want to complete the mission and return to my family. But on the other hand, I can't ignore what I'm witnessing. Can I do it? Can I keep my spirit strong and continue to fight in a world where no one is perfect? Only time will tell. But one thing I know for sure, this turning point will change everything. As the investigation delved deeper, I began to realize something terrifying. The real enemy wasn't just the criminals out there in society. The true enemy was right within my own team, within those I had always considered comrades. That's when I met Percy, a leader in the underground world, always lurking in the shadows, monitoring our every move, like a ghost. He never showed his face directly, always working through intermediaries, those who appeared harmless on the outside. But I knew he was part of Big Ed's network, and he had deep connections with the top brass in the undercover unit. Then came Fitz, a police officer I had once trusted. We had worked together for a long time, but now I saw him for what he really was. Fitz was one of the true villains, a man who had disappeared into the darkness of power and money. He had used his position to cover up illegal activities, and now he was siding with the very criminals I was trying to bring down. I began to see clearly that this fight wasn't just about apprehending criminals. It was a battle against corruption, betrayal, right within the heart of the system I had dedicated my life to serving. The truth was, I could no longer trust anyone. Every step was fraught with danger. The friends, the comrades I had once thought were on the same side were now the traitors. This only made me more determined. I couldn't let people like Percy Fitz or Big Ed win. I would have to fight to the end, even if it meant sacrificing everything I used to believe in the system. I thought I was fighting for something good, for justice, and for my family. But when I witnessed the betrayal within my own team, everything began to fall apart. It felt like a hard slap to the face, leaving me unsure of who to trust anymore. That day, when I realized that those I thought were comrades were toying with the truth, a sense of helplessness washed over me. Percy and the others in the unit, those I had once relied on, were now the betrayers. They didn't just sell me out, they sold out everything I had once believed in. In this world full of deception, I slowly lost faith in everything. But the biggest shock came when I lost a friend, a comrade, someone I had shared every hardship with in this job. One of the officers under my command, whom I had trusted without question, was killed. His death marked the end of my faith. He wasn't just a colleague. He was a friend I had fought alongside for years. Now he was gone, and I felt as though I had lost a crucial part of my life. This wound will never heal. It's not just the loss of a friend. It's the loss of faith. The loss of the ideals I had spent my life fighting for. What I once believed in now feels meaningless. This battle is no longer just against crime. It is a fight against betrayal and corruption within my very own team. And when I look into the mirror, I don't know anymore. Can I continue? Can I keep living with the things I've witnessed? Or will I be sucked into the whirlwind of betrayal? One thing I know for sure, this war is not over, but the price I must pay will be unbearably high. Everything has reached its breaking point. I am exhausted by the secrets, the endless struggles. Every time I think I'm close to my goal, another shock forces me to start over. And this time, everything seems to have crossed the line. The final deal with Big Ed had been planned. This was our last chance to bring him down, to end everything and close the chapter of my undercover life. But I knew things would never go as expected. Deep down, I could feel an unusual tension. This wasn't just another arrest. It was the final confrontation, a showdown with the very people I had once considered comrades. Just as I had suspected, this transaction wasn't just about drugs. It was a battle of wits with the cunning, treacherous people I had been fighting for so long. We knew that one wrong move and everything would come crashing down. Every second we had to monitor every action of the enemy. Every move from our own team could be a sign of betrayal. This time, there's no turning back. I have to complete this mission not just for justice, but for my family, for Lynn, and the child that's about to be born. What I'm doing now isn't just for my own ego, but for everything I've sacrificed. The feeling of anxiety and tension is suffocating, but I know I cannot stop. This is the final battle, and no matter the outcome, I must see it through. Because if I don't, I'll never be able to face myself again. Finally, the deal took place, but not as I had expected. Everything collapsed so quickly, I thought I could end this case fully, that I would return to Lynn and start fresh. But as always, things were more complicated than I imagined. I saw the consequences of the choices I had made. The price of maintaining this facade living under the guise of a drug dealer to complete the job was far too high. I had lost too many friends, and I had seen too much betrayal. And when the death of a comrade, a friend became something I couldn't accept, I knew I could no longer continue living in this darkness. This was the moment I had to make the biggest decision of my life. I couldn't continue living in the vortex of undercover investigations, battles with criminals, and betrayal from those I trusted. Every step I took, every decision I made had its cost, and now it was time for me to face the truth. Lynn had been waiting for me all this time, and now I could return to her. I had promised her we would have a family, and I had to keep that promise. This job, with all its tension and danger, could not be the reason I lost my future. As I walked away from this life, I felt a shift. I was no longer the secret police officer in the shadows. I was ready for a new life, a life with family, love, and hope. This battle, whether I won or lost, was over, and now I could step into the light, no longer needing to hide. After everything that has happened, I know that nothing is easy. I have gone through months of tension filled with betrayal and loss. I was once a police officer living under the guise of a drug dealer, so immersed in this work that I forgot the reasons I started it in the first place. But now, after the case has ended, after everything I've been through, I realize that it was all just life's challenges meant to teach me how to change. Every step in life comes with a price. I've lost many things, from friends to trust in those I thought were comrades. But I've also learned that life isn't just about confronting criminals or completing missions. Life is about family, about the people you love, and about the ability to rise after each fall. Now, when I look at Lynn, seeing our child soon to be born, I know I've done the right thing. This job is no longer the priority. Family love and our future are what matter most. I used to ask myself if I could escape the shadow of this work, but now I understand that I can. My life, after long days spent in the darkness, will be a new life, and I won't let the mistakes of the past dictate my future. I will step into a new chapter with freedom and hope. I will do everything to protect my family, and in the end, I will be the one to take control of my life. In the end, I understand that sometimes it is change that is the only thing that can save us.